Many people have come away with an opinion after this past weekend's Jon Jones Dominic Reyes fight that Jon Jones, above everything else, needs to stay at light heavyweight. Take Stipe out of your mouth. A lot of the reason they're coming to that conclusion is because he had such a hard time with Dominic Reyes and because Dominic Reyes knocked him down, and if Jon Jones was to take a shot from Stipe Miocic, he not only would have gone down, he'd have never gotten up. That's the talk. That's not what I saw. Guys, that's not what I saw, and I don't think it's what you saw either. I think it was an optical illusion. I really do. I don't think Jon Jones got knocked down. Now, Jon Jones got knocked and Jon Jones went down, but under the classic sense of the term, okay, that's a slip. Slips are different in MMA than they are in boxing. Yes, Jon was hit, but the punch went to the body, and Jon was throwing a kick at the time, which means Jon was on one leg, which means he didn't have very good balance. So I think to call that a slip or even a push down, when a guy's on one leg, if you could just reach out and straight arm him, you could knock him down. For sure. Now, Dominic Reyes hit him really hard, but he hit him in the body. Jon didn't appear to be hurt. It appeared that he fell because he was on one leg throwing a kick, and he came right back up to his feet. That's what I saw. So to make believe that Stipe hit him with that exact same shot, I don't think any of us believe Stipe could hit Jon Jones in this area, which is where Dom connected, and all of a sudden Jon doesn't get up. I think anybody who came to that conclusion didn't see it right and thinks that maybe Dom hit him on the chin. Now, if he hit him on the chin, we're having a totally different conversation. Yes, if Dom Reyes can put Jon Jones down with a punch to the face, Stipe with the same punch to the face would have put him out. Okay, I got it. I got it. Stipe is a better boxer and he's a more powerful boxer. I just think that a couple of the messages are really off here. First off, to act as though Jon Jones can't go to heavyweight, that's the same thing as condescendingly say, Jon Jones got put in his lane. And yes, while he might have done a great job, things sure are getting closer for Jon Jones. Jon must be diminishing. Why do we have to look at it like that instead of just saying what really happened, which is Reyes fought a damn good fight? Why do we have to put Jon down in the process of which putting Reyes' great performance down? Why can't we just say that was an incredible fight? Wow, and by the way, Reyes never should have been a 4-1 dog, and if they ever meet again, Reyes sure as hell won't be a 4-1 underdog. Because that's what happened. That was a really great fight. Now, I would agree that Jon Jones versus Stipe would go off as the favorite. I don't know if that would have been the truth a week ago. I do think that we saw some things that would just favor the X's and O's of a matchup with Stipe. And it's not the first time we saw it. What I'm talking about is Jon Jones's wrestling appears to be diminishing. Let me explain how and why that happens. So many very good wrestlers, and Jon qualifies. Jon is a very good wrestler. So he won a national championship. That was the highest level he ever competed at, and nobody could beat him. Pretty good wrestler. But one thing that happens with wrestling, it's like any other tool. If you don't use it, if you don't sharpen that blade, it goes dull. And eventually it goes away. And what wrestling is, it is not about changing elevation and tackling your opponent. It's not even about closing distance and getting hold of your opponent. That's called grappling. That's called clinching. What wrestling means is to move. Whoever moves more wrestled harder. Wrestlers who are trained in wrestling will do what we call a shot. A shot is where you change elevation and penetrate to get a hold of your opponent. A good wrestler will use the first shot to set up the second shot. A great wrestler will use the first shot to set up the second shot and finish on the third shot. That's known as chain wrestling. You cannot chain wrestle. No matter how many years you wrestle, no matter how many plaques you've got on your wall, no matter how many ribbons and trophies you've got on the mantle. You cannot chain wrestle unless you do it every single day. It is the very first thing that you will lose. And we will see a number of great wrestlers come over to MMA, and all of a sudden they can't take guys down anymore. Well, because as they diminish and they go from a guy that's willing to shoot 3 shots to get a guy down, quickly you go to 2, all of a sudden you fall to 1, and then you're stuck. MMA guys who never spend any time wrestling, but they worked on it in the practice room, can stop 1 shot. The average MMA wrestler, the average MMA fighter right now can stop 1 shot from anybody. Any wrestler versus a can stop 1 shot. Go and see Khabib versus Conor McGregor the first 30 seconds and watch how hard Khabib had to work for that takedown. I mean, Conor, who has never had a match, I do not believe Ireland has wrestling. I know they do not represent themselves in the World Olympic Games, so I don't think that they have any level of wrestling throughout their schools or even club programs in Ireland, was able to stop one shot. Once Khabib started chaining things together, he was able to get on top at will. But this is a tool that you lose if you do not use it. That's all that I'm bringing up. And Jon Jones does appear like every other wrestler. When you get away from that, yeah, a lot of it goes away. The other thing on Jon Jones, and this even dates back to the fight with Santos. Jon Jones's plan A, take you down, beat you up. Plan A should be state champion wrestler, national champion wrestler, great MMA wrestler, should be plan A. The problem for Jon's opponents is plan B, which is to stand up and use trick boxing. I call it trick boxing when Jon does it. Jon is out there tricking you at all times. He's making you think he's gonna hit you in the face. He'll kick you right in the knee. He'll kick you in the knee a couple times. He'll bring that foot up, kick you right in the gut. Kick you in the gut, go back to your knee, then smack you right in the face with a foot. I mean, Jon Jones is tricking his opponents at all times, and he does it so well that he's a guy that can default to plan B. Where I would be a little critical of Jon is it looks as though he is being forced to plan B because plan A isn't working. That is a very real and common thing. Daniel Cormier spoke about this. Daniel Cormier, when he was getting ready to fight, when he was getting ready to fight Jon Jones. But before each fight, we'll go and spend a significant amount of time on just wrestling. He'll put on his wrestling shoes. He'll bend over at the waist. He'll shake somebody's hand. He'll push and pull. He'll look for his setups. He likes the scramble there. He likes the hustle. He likes the chain wrestling. He likes what it does to his heart rate. But also mentally, when you're a two-time Olympian that came over to mixed martial arts and that's your greatest weapon, you would like to have that chamber full. And recently, Daniel Cormier spent some time at the Olympic Training Center. He said, I couldn't beat any of these guys. I was the best in the country. Nobody could touch me. I had every world team, won every national title, made the Olympic team both times that I tried, spent part of my season at heavyweight, beat all those guys too. I can't beat any of the guys in the room anymore. Well, that's a very real thing. That's not a knock on Daniel. That's a compliment to wrestling, but it also speaks to the point that if you don't sharpen that tool, you're going to lose that tool. And the number one tool you lose isn't the position. It isn't forgetting how to do a double leg. It isn't forgetting where your hands go. It isn't defending that you get your chest high, you get your hips in, that you drive, that you look across your opponent's shoulder, that you pop your head. None of those things go away. You'd remember all of those things. You could go teach that to a group of people. You could teach it textbook perfectly. It's the chain wrestling. It's the one move into the next, into the next. It's the chain. It's the setup. A lot of the younger wrestlers that are more fresh out of college, the Gregor Gillespie types that are closer tied to college, can still do that. But over time, if they are not still working on that, if they're not popping into the college room, if they're not still getting a couple of hours, a couple of times a week, with these guys that are fast and hustling and moving their feet and looking to come here, looking to come back here, looking to trick you, making a pull on your head, come down to your ankle. If you're not doing that, you will lose it. It looks to me very hard to criticize Jon Jones, particularly after what he just did this weekend. Such an impressive performance. But with anybody, if you want to get better, you have to learn, including from your victories. And when you're Jon Jones and all you have is victories, now you really have to learn from your victories. You don't get to just go, oh, I won, and walk away. You don't. You have to go back and study. What can I do better? I would offer to Jon Jones one of the things that he used to do better, and one of the things he appears to be getting away from, is that chain wrestling. He's still very good at knowing where his opponent is. He's still very good at distracting them with a jab, coming underneath that as they bring their hands up to avoid being punched in the face. He's still very good at getting to the legs, but then he's stopping. As opposed to pull the guy off balance, go to a bar as a guy, pull the guy off balance, head comes outside, pop your hip. Chain wrestling. And it's a very real thing. If you don't use it, you lose it. I mean, this is the key to biology. The number one rule, you evolve or you become extinct.